the greatest transformation in the United States in the post-war era was the civil rights movement, and it did mobilize, unlike any other movement, it mobilized the grassroots of society. It was a truly heroic, deeply, deeply inspiring chapter in American history. And one of the odd things about Ibram X. Kendi, amid all his other oddities, is he's completely, totally contemptuous of the civil rights movement, thinking it was a complete waste. It didn't transform anything. It was white people who transformed everything during the civil rights era. It was like such a
Well,
weird.
well, listen, Abraham X. Kendi, I'm sure he wasn't contemptuous of those white people when they were looking at his application to get a job at Boston University, and particularly the ones who were giving him foundation money to finance his little institution at my alma mater, Boston University. So we at This Is Revolution are very, very familiar with the I want to talk tough to whitey Negroes who get the fat back and biscuits checks from the foundation world, from the industrial, the whole non-government industrial complex, blah, blah, blah. The point that I wanted to continue about those white liberals, leftists, so on and so forth, that fetishize the posturing of black radicalism is that it's not simply about, ooh, let's watch the monkeys in the cage look like they're going to throw bananas at us. It's so attractive. It's that the institutional mechanisms of the foundation world and academia for pretty much 30 years, maybe more, have been financing that and mainstreaming it in the university intentionally, largely in areas of black studies.
Well, this is what I want to get to, Pascal. I want to ask.
Instead, wait, hold on a second. Instead of having disciplines that actually challenge the material reality and the condition of what black, brown, and poor and working class people are. The large point I'm trying to get to you, Norm, is that I understand why all of this is frustrating and angering to you. But for me, Jason, who are much younger than you are, who are not academics, who've been doing this show for a while, and we do a lot of reading, and we talk to a lot of academics, this is part of what we talk on our show, one of our favorite slogans, the 50-plus year counter-revolution that is a continuing reactionary movement, not in the reactionary like everyone's wearing a Klan t-shirt, but neoliberalization, hypermarketization, moving away from materialist politics, moving to the right in terms of a type of capitalism that starts in the late 60s from 68 and moving forward that is a bipartisan consensus to neutralize the New Deal Civil Rights Coalition, which definitely was a liberal bourgeois consensus that was not as radical as the old left of the 30s and 40s. And I understand your affection for the civil rights movement, and it was a significant transformation that did decreased the rate of poverty from black people in 1959, which was 55%, to what it is now, which is no more than 19%. So if Ibrahim Kendi, ex-Kendi, and a lot of those other Negroes say that, oh, integration is what messed us up, I'd like to know if they want to go back to 1940 when over 65% of black people were picking cotton or cleaning up white people's houses.
Well,
Well,
I wouldn't say two things. No, I want to hear you, Jason. Just as a comment. Number one, there were significant substantive changes as a result of the civil rights movement. And number two, we should never forget how deeply heroic and courageous those people were. When people like Bob Moses, who attended Hamilton College, and he was a brilliant fellow, he eventually went back and got his philosophy degree from Harvard. But when people like Bob Moses, they came from up north, they went down south. What they did was they used to go into these tiny hamlets where the chief of police was in the Ku Klux Klan, the chief judge was in the Ku Klux Klan, every official was in the Ku Klux Klan, and they went from door to door, knocking on people's doors to get them to go down to register to vote. That took real courage. That was so deeply inspiring, the selflessness, the sacrifice that these people like Diane Nash. I mean, I don't know if you know her, but she was just a spectacular figure. And these people were 20 years old. Bob Moses was a little older. He was like 22. Most of them were like 19, 20. Yeah, James Foreman was a little older also. I think he was around 28. But most of them were 19 and 20-year-olds, or they were 60 and 70-year-olds. It was the garbage men. It was the Senate, when that in my era was called the garbage men. It was the maids in the homes. I mean, there was real sacrifice, real courage. It was a deeply moving experience. And when I see these so-called radicals piss on them, what did Ibram X. Kendi do? If you read his work, the only thing he does is he claims that he scolded his second grade teacher. That's it. There's no radicalism. There's no history of any kind of activism, sacrifice, courage. And then when I see these people go on Democracy Now! And Amy Goodman is drooling over them, because he's got the dreads. He's got the dreads. It fills me with nausea. Patrice Cullors with her 4 homes,